All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Facemask Fantasies Week 3 Start Sit live stream. I'm coming at you solo today. John is off. He had plans sprung on him that he was not able to get out of. But you have me this evening for all of your start sit questions. We will work together through this for the next couple of hours. If there are any members, moderators, or honestly anybody in general who sees a question, always feel free to chime in. These chats can flood with questions somewhat quickly. And as you guys know, or if you're familiar with us, we do try to take as much time to dissect the question as far as the 2 different options or 3 different options, or however many different options there are. And give as much information as we possibly can to give, an educated opinion. Might flow a little faster with just the one of, with just me, with not having both of us. But John will be back. He will be back Sunday, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you do prefer to, that additional insight, that extra approach, way of thinking, point of view, he will be available. The both of us will be available tomorrow at 10 a.m. But like I said, I'm holding down the fort this evening. I see some people are starting to trickle in. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday, maybe watching some college football, having a good time, enjoying the weekend in general. Joe, appreciate the like. The like does help us in the algorithm, so if you can hit that button, that's much appreciated. Thank you. And no start sit questions just yet. I guess one of the more notable pieces of news today, Josh Jacobs was questionable for the game against Tennessee with an illness. Vic Tafur, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce his last name, beat writer for the Las Vegas Raiders, reported that Josh Jacobs did get on a plane earlier today, and will join the team in Tennessee. So that would seem to suggest that he's on the optimistic side of questionable. It looks like Josh Jacobs will play. I would temper expectations on anybody who maybe picked up Zamir White in hopes of a spot start. That would be the takeaway. Josh Jacobs wouldn't travel if he wasn't trying to play, if he wasn't planning to play. So you could probably fire him up. And then, of course, obviously just keep it, pay attention to the injury report, pay attention to weather reports as it pertains to kickers, and check wind as it pertains to kickers and also passing games. That's the fun science of figuring out start sit. But we can go ahead and get right into it. Senor Rojo or Rojo, not 100% sure. It might be Rojo. Good afternoon. Between Alec Pierce, Bobby Trees, and Treylon Burks, I think I would play Burks. Pierce, first game back from the concussion, had a couple of drops week 1. Michael Pittman is also back. Paris Campbell still in the mix, even though he did nothing last week. Let's wait and see on Alec Pierce. I think Burks is where I would go. 11 targets through 2 games. 3 catches for 55 in game 1, 4 catches for 47 in a blowout week 2. He's not playing significant snaps yet, but he's getting involved. And this is a must-win game for both teams. They're going to pull out all the stops, Tennessee being at home. I think I would play Burks. What did Bobby Trees do week 2? It's hard to really hold too much against the Titans offense. They were just never in that game, right? 60. I mean, so Woods is playing more snaps than Burks. That's not so surprising, but Same number of catches, fewer yards. I would say Burks is the floor and ceiling play for you between the three options. Burks. What's up, AB? What's up, Cali Loco? Good to see some of the members in here. As stated at the top of the show, John is off tonight. He will be back with us tomorrow. We will both be available 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to bounce some thoughts off of both of us instead of just me, you have that luxury tomorrow. But I'm still taking you for as long as we need to go tonight to get some start sit questions answered. Callie, should you drop Alzeer or Tanyan for Nico Collins? I have been a proponent of Tanyan throughout the offseason. He has not fired just yet. He is still working his way back from the injury he suffered last year. So you can probably wait on him for a couple more weeks. I would just fire up Logan Thomas. And then depending on your running backs, yeah, you can drop Alzeer for Nico Collins. I think Collins is a fine hold. I mean, these are all end of bench options. Collins presents some interesting upside, probably in a way that Alzeer doesn't. It is, not the most impressive collection of talent in Houston, and Collins is seeing the field. 2/3 of the snaps back-to-back weeks and 9 targets week 2. These are all good indicators that he's going to stay involved. It's not a good passing offense in Houston. But sure, instead of Alzeer, depending on your running backs, if you didn't go 0 RB and you're just, stashing as many backups as you possibly can and hope one of them fires. If that's not the case, then Alzeer can be a drop for you. Let's see. Yeah, but Nico Collins is a fine pickup. Sign Lies, what's going on? Is Dobbins playing week 3? From what I've seen, or from what I saw from Harbaugh, the response to the reporters' questions did not sound promising. It sounded like he's progressing well, but basically they don't want to play him again this week. I do not trust that situation. I know he got in full practices this week, but Harbaugh was non-committal on his availability this week, saying that he's making good progress, but also essentially saying that he's not, they're hoping to have him back in the next couple of weeks. I would not, even if Dobbins is, at this point, I would consider Dobbins a surprise start if he plays next week or this week. If he's activated tomorrow, that would be a little bit of an upset as far as I'm concerned. And if he plays, I just don't want to fire him up. I do not think he's playing this week, and if he does, he cannot be trusted. Dobbins needs to remain on benches for at least one more week, and it sounds like it might be, honestly, it might be another couple weeks. It might be another couple weeks before we see J.K. Dobbins, just based on Harbaugh's midweek comments. I'll see if I can find them. They were on Twitter, but this was back on Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday. Let's see. Yeah, there's no update right on the Roto Wire or Sleeper as far as Harbaugh's comments, but they have, following the beat reporters on Twitter goes a long way in getting that extra piece of information. Regardless, I would avoid J.K. Dobbins this week. I don't think he plays. Can you start Sky Moore? I wouldn't. I mean, is MVS out? No, he's not even on the injury report. I mean, Sky Moore caught 1 pass week 1, caught 0 week 2. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman, Justin Watson got usage over Sky Moore. I know it's probably by that point on the depth chart, it's pick your poison depending on the week, but Juju, MVS, and Hardman are all ahead of Sky Moore on the depth chart. That doesn't even mention Travis Kelce. No, outside of the deepest leagues, I would not start Sky Moore this week. I would not start Zamir White either. It was reported earlier today, Josh Jacobs did get on a plane. He's meeting with the team. He didn't travel with the team on Friday. He is traveling with them today, or he's traveling separately today. Jacobs came down with an illness. The first time he popped up on the injury report was Thursday this week. He's now on a plane to Nashville. Looks like he's going to be available. He's not flying if he doesn't have a chance to play. So I would say this is more on the optimistic side of questionable. Jacobs is probably feeling better. This looks like it's a non-COVID illness. Again, if it was a COVID illness, he would not have flown. So Jacobs is looking good. Therefore, Zamir White is not. I would not play Zamir White this week. There's some deep options signed live. How deep is your league? Curious to know. What's going on, Richie? Should you start Tom Brady or a hodgepodge of backup options? I don't love it. You probably need to play Brady. Mariota has some interesting upside this week. Joe Flacco's been playing well. What is Flacco? Flacco had a huge week last week, but some of that was a little fluky. That end of game against the Browns only happens like once every several years. Still, Flacco's got 103 pass attempts through 2 games. So the Jets are airing it out. And he's over 300 yards 3 straight weeks. 2 tough matchups too. Baltimore and on the road in Cleveland. At least Flacco's got his full complement of options, right? He's got Elijah Moore. He's got Garrett Wilson. He's got Corey Davis. He has his running backs. He has Ty Conklin for what it's worth. I mean, that's notable because Ty Conklin is a better option at tight end than like Cameron Brate and the rookies that Tampa Bay is floating out there. I mean, it's pretty bare bones for Brady right now. Who's playing for them? Russell Gage and that's it. I know who, Mike Evans is suspended. Chris Godwin was ruled out on Friday. I'm pretty sure wasn't Julio ruled out, or he's a game time decision. I don't feel great about that. I mean, it's gonna be Russell Gage. It's gonna be Scotty Miller. It's gonna be Brashad Perryman for Brady. Man, maybe Flacco. Might honestly need to be Flacco, Richie. He's over 300 yards passing both weeks. Again, some of it was a little fluky last week because of that end, the end of that game. You know what? Scratch that. I'm maybe not chasing those Flacco points. Like to that point, I just said the end of the game last game was a little fluky. I would not chase the Flacco points. I know it hurts, but Brady's at home. I would probably just roll the. I'm gonna say just roll the dice with Brady. I'm just gonna say just roll the dice with Brady, Richie. He's the best of that bunch by far. I don't want Mac Jones. I don't want Geno. Mariota's got a little bit of intrigue, but I don't think I can bring it myself to play Mariota over Brady. And Flacco, I just kind of caught myself. I'm not chasing those points from a fluky end of game week 2. Just play Brady. Disbanded Brotherhood. Is Kadarius Toney a bum? Well, I mean, he's not doing anything to suggest otherwise. He's getting open. I don't know if it's a combination of it's still a bad offense. Daniel Jones is as bad as ever. Don't let the Giants 2-0 start fool you. Daniel Jones still looks pretty below average. Not a good NFL starting quarterback. He just isn't. So that's not helping Toney. The coaching staff seems to, I don't know if he's in the doghouse. It feels like it might be, but no catches this week. Minimal usage week 1 and week 2. No catches week 2, minimal usage week 1, excuse me. Why did they draft this guy in the first round? I don't want any parts of Kadarius Toney, but I can't sit here and say he's a bust. They're not, He's been dealing with injuries. They haven't been using him. They haven't been playing him. But whatever. Also, I guess if he was talented enough, I guess he'd be putting up some semblance of some type of numbers, right? I'll give him one more year, but it is pretty much, but it's approaching bust territory. I never want to have that knee-jerk reaction and call somebody a bust like a year and a couple of games into their career, but it's not trending in the right direction. Let's put it that way. Signed lives, 14-man leagues. Hey, I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate the challenge of a 14-man league. But yeah, no, I would hope you have other options. Those guys, Sky Moore and Zamir White, can't be trusted, especially since Jacobs ultimately sounds like he's making the trip to Tennessee. AB, should you trade DJ Moore? Probably not, because you're not going to get great value for him right now, right? You're not going to get great value for him. It's a sell low move. I would just hold and hope that he can have, string together at least a couple of good weeks in a row, get his value back up. If anything, he's probably a buy low. Since you have him, you might as well just hold. You drafted him high, just hold. You're going to get, maybe not pennies on the dollar, but you get what I'm saying. You're not going to get anywhere close to the value that you should get for somebody like DJ Moore right now because of the start he's off to. Senor, you lost Renfro and Keenan Allen. Yeah, Keenan Allen is hard to trust right now, especially with Herbert banged up. So you could play two of those three. Well, yeah. So I mean, I would keep Keenan Allen in there for now. If he plays among those options, you have to fire him up. But then I guess if Allen is out, if it's not sounding good, because I think Robert Woods plays in the early window. Keenan plays in the late window, so that's a tough call to make. I would probably just play Robert Woods. I know it sucks, but Keenan Allen is like 50-50 for the game, might not go, and if he goes, he might be a decoy or limited. I would probably just play Robert Woods, even though I know that doesn't feel good. And AB, I would not trade Sutton. I mean, Sutton put up big numbers last week. Judy is returned to practice Friday, but he's banged up. I would keep Sutton right now. Signs lies. If that's how deep you're going, if that's how deep you have to go, I'd probably play Dontrell Hilliard and hope he can, do 50% of what he gave you week one, because they need him. James Cook, I'm not sure if the Bills need him. He didn't play. His usage last week came in the fourth quarter when the game was over, like over, when the Bills were up 30+ points. I guess I would roll the dice on Hilliard. What's up, JXC? Fellow runner. Well, I'm a former runner. Maybe I'll get back into it at some point. We'll see. I don't know. Would I start Bateman, Higgins? You listed Bateman twice, XC. If you're leaning Higgins, then start Higgins. I think I would start Higgins as well. You probably drafted him at least 2 rounds higher. And Higgins is right there with Jamar Chase as far as like targets and routes run and all that stuff. Bateman, tougher matchup on the road in New England. Higgins at home against the Jets. Or are they on the road? They're on the road still against the Jets. Not as intimidating of a matchup. And I would probably play Higgins if the situation was flip-flopped anyway. So go Higgins. And if you were leaning Higgins, then go Higgins. I always tell people at the end of the day, if you don't like what you're hearing as far as our analysis, if you're like between two people and you're leaning one way and we don't sway you, in the event that we like another guy more, go with your gut. I always tell people, go with your gut. We're on the same page with Higgins, though, as far as leaning him. So, yeah, I would go Higgins. And, yeah, Richie, I know Beasley got elevated, and he's gonna play, it sounds like. So, it's not the most inspiring crew of pass catchers for Brady, but he's far and away the best option or best name. I think I would just play Brady and hope for the best. It's hard to get behind some of those names on the wire. As far as start Pittman or Davis, what's up, Anthony? Pittman's going against the Chiefs at home. Davis is on the road in Miami. You probably have to go Pittman as his team's wide receiver 1. you probably have to go Pittman, and it is a situation where, I mean, your options are like, are you leaning one way, Anthony? Like, do you have are you like, I'm feeling this, like I'm feeling Pittman or I'm feeling Davis, but I'm not sure. Are you leaning one way? Because here's the argument in favor of each one. I would probably lean Pittman in general, but obviously Matt Ryan is playing way worse than one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen. So Davis is the wide receiver 2 on the best passing offense in the league. Pittman is the clear wide receiver 1 on not as impressive of an offense, but it didn't matter week 1. Pittman delivered big time. He came through, and he can have that type of week again. He can have that week 1 type of week again this week with the Colts having to play. You have to play catch up. You have to keep your foot on the gas when you're playing a team like Kansas City. So probably Pittman. But if you're a fan of the narrative of the fact that Davis is explosive, a touchdown scorer, and he's the team's wide receiver 2. Pittman is the team's wide receiver 1, but Davis is the wide receiver 2 on the best passing offense in the NFL. So if you prefer playing give me the best situation, then Davis. But like the straight up, you probably have to just go Pittman. I do not want to bench Gabe though. I would love to find a way to get him into the lineup. But with Kupp and Waddle, you have to fire those guys up ahead of him. But he's really good. And signs, I think I got you earlier as far as the Buffalo backfield. I mean, you can start Singletary. He's the only one. James Cook can't be trusted. Zach Moss can't be trusted. You can start you can start Devin Singletary, but it's not a great feeling. And I guess between him and Dontrell Hilliard, I guess I would play Singletary. If you don't have Singletary, then I would play Hilliard. But you can fire up Singletary. Just, don't be surprised if he just puts up a decent flex day. Although I think the last time the Bills played in Miami, he did rip off a big run for a touchdown, like a long run for a touchdown. So you never know. They're in Miami again this week. Callie, Kansas City or Minnesota defense, and Pittman is playing. The Chiefs have been pretty good. Matt Ryan has not been good. Minnesota's at home against a division opponent that is playing well on offense. Two good options. I think I would probably lean Kansas City, despite the fact that they're on the road. I feel more confident. With my, if I had to predict, I would say the Chiefs are more likely to beat the Colts than the Vikings are to beat the Lions. Now, they're both favorites, and they could both win the game. In fact, Minnesota should win the game, and they're in a bounce-back situation. They're looking to bounce back after getting embarrassed on Monday Night Football. They want to come back and defend home turf against a division foe. So Minnesota's going to be up for the game. But Jared Goff's playing pretty decent right now. The Lions offense is playing pretty well in general. The Colts offense is not playing well right now. And, they get Pittman back, so they get a boost. They get Pittman back. That's a big boost. But Matt Ryan has not looked good. He's not even looked average. And that's against two defenses that are not the most impressive in Houston and Jacksonville. Kansas City has better, they're not a shutdown unit, but they have better personnel than those two. I think I would go Kansas City. Both are good options, but I think I would go Kansas City. What's up, Mario? You need some help? That's what I'm here for. Wilson, so Jeff Wilson or Penny, Ingram or Knox. I would play Knox. I know Ingram's getting some sneaky usage. Ingram's getting some sneaky good usage, but I mean, give me the tight end attached to Josh Allen. Who's Jacksonville playing tomorrow? I actually don't even know. I mean, I should. Oh, they're playing the Chargers. That's right. They're playing the Chargers on the road. I I would play Knox, Mario. It's just like, give me the guy attached to the better quarterback, the better passing offense. As far as Wilson or Penny, Wilson gets the Broncos, Penny gets the Falcons. I think I give a slight edge to... I mean, I'll go with the offense I guess I trust a little bit more. Penny's in the better situation at home against Atlanta. But Seattle is a slow-moving offense, a slow-paced offense, and they're not a good offense. They're at home. Atlanta's not good, so that's a favorable spot. Wilson's just in the better offense and ended up pretty much dominant. He didn't dominate backfield work, but because Tyrion Davis-Price last week mixed in a good amount. But Wilson, I think, handled 18 touches, caught the ball a couple times. He totaled over 80 rushing yards. I know they're on the road, the 49ers are, but with Jimmy G reinserted as the quarterback, like the running backs are going to run more. Like it's a shift in mindset now as far as this 49ers backfield. Jeff Wilson is now looking like a pretty good pickup. I think I might slightly lean Wilson, Mario, and just like the better offense. What's up, Iron? Callie, you're going Knox if he's a go, and I would too. I don't love Tanyan, but I'm not giving up on Tanyan for the season. Again, remember, he's getting his sea legs back under him, right? He missed most of last year with a torn ACL. He's still working his way back. I don't love Tanyan right now, but Tanyan I still think is a fine stash for the second half of the season. You might be able to go with him next week or tomorrow in a desperation situation, but if you have to pivot, I don't know, maybe of those names, if you decide to pivot, if Knox can't go and you don't trust Tanyan, I guess I would go Conklin. What has Conklin done the past couple of weeks? It's just he's the guy. I think Uzoma returned to practice this week, but at least for one more week, I think Conklin's got a shot to continue a solid stretch. Yeah, I was going to say, he's played 92% and 100% of the snaps the first 2 weeks. He's an every down player for them, and 16 targets through the first 2 weeks. Hell yeah. Yeah, Conklin. Actually, over Tanyan, Callie. I would go Conklin over Tanyan. I would go Knox over Conklin if he's a go, but I would go Conklin over Tanyan. Yeah. He may not be like a 100% snap type of player with Uzoma back, or is Uzoma... I know he returned to practice. Is he playing this week? Questionable. Uzoma is questionable with the hamstring. Yeah, I would Conklin. Even if Uzoma plays, he's a part-time player at best. At least for now. What's up, CXK? What's up, Evan445? Thanks for coming in. Full PPR. Flex spot is Curtis. Oh, Curtis, Jacoby Myers, or Jeff Wilson. Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna lean and see who's what's the chat thinking with this one. Curtis Samuel feels like the safe choice. It's a tough matchup though against the Eagles. Although I would expect Darius Slay is the one who is on Terry McLaurin. I'm a little concerned. Terry should be fine tomorrow, but I'm a little worried about him. He did not pop against the Eagles last year. Samuel also gets backfield work, right? He is currently he's that change of pace, like gadget Swiss Army knife. As Brian Robinson continues to recover, Curtis Samuel is getting backfield work, so that makes him super intriguing. Jacoby Myers did have a nice week last week. Jacoby Myers did have a good week too. He's playing over 80% of the snaps. He almost played 90% week 1. 13 targets last week. He caught 9 of them. Man, that is a tough spot. You've got Curtis Samuel, not a great matchup against the Eagles. Jacoby Myers, decent matchup at home. Curtis Samuel's also at home. Curtis Samuel's at home against the Eagles. Jacoby Myers at home. Jacoby Myers at home against Baltimore. decent, decent, not terrible, not great matchup. Or you have Jeff Wilson, who dominated backfield snaps last week and should probably have a little bit more prominence now that Trey Lance is not a threat running the ball with Jimmy G reinserted. That's tough. I guess I'm inclined to go with one of the wide receivers in full PPR. I think you might as well ride with Curtis Samuel, and I think it's a better passing offense, a more reliable passing offense than the Patriots. I think I would go Curtis Samuel. I would lean Curtis Samuel. That's a tough question, Evan. I will have my co-host, John, will be back tomorrow for our Start Sit Sunday morning stream. It starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want to revisit this question with an extra set of ears and another source of bouncing ideas off of, we will both be available Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We can kind of revisit this, but I think I would lean Samuel. A little bit more reliable passing offense than the Patriots, at least right now. And in full PPR, I would give him the edge over the running back. Although Wilson is going to get a good amount of work. But slight edge to Samuel. Lincoln was here. You have 3 picks in the 7th round. 7th round of a dynasty superflex startup. Are you doing a startup now? Interesting timing. You're thinking of drafting Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, and Gibson CEH. I would draft Michael Thomas. That's fine. I think I would avoid Keenan Allen in a startup, man. He's 30 dealing with hamstring injuries. In the next 2 years, you're gonna be trying to figure out what to do with him as far as like, how do I get rid of this guy? I would not target Keenan Allen. Gibson, dicey with the Brian Robinson rise. Clyde, I would be fine with taking, and Mike Williams, I would be fine with taking as well. Honestly, Mike Evans is fine too. Should be good for another couple of seasons. The guys I would probably avoid in that area are Keenan Allen and Gibson. This is interesting timing for a startup with the season having already started. Just curious what the thought process there was. You're just to do an in-season? Not that there's anything. I mean, if you guys chose that this is how you wanted to do it, then so be it. Like after the season kicks off. Just curious the thought process there. The Patrick Haas, what's up? You need 2 guys, an RB2 and a flex. CEH, Gibson, Edmonds, ETN, Bateman, and Allen Robinson. Scoring would help. Is this full PPR? Is it half PPR? Let me know. Let me know what the scoring is. I think Bateman, if it's half or full PPR, I think Bateman has to be in. I would say it's not Edmonds. I would say it's not ETN. And I know Allen Robinson came back to life last week. Yeah, the scoring would help, Patrick. Let me know what the scoring is, and that might help things out. Luis Garcia, thanks for coming in. Justin Fields or Marcus Mariota? The Bears are at home against the Texans. Mariota's on the road in Seattle. Oh, man, the Bears offense has been like pulling teeth, man. I think I got to go Mariota. I mean, Justin Fields has 28 attempts in 2 games. He's got less than, he's got 28 rushing yards week 1, 20 rushing yards week 2. It's just, it is pulling teeth for Justin Fields right now. Mariota's not been that much better, but he has been better. And this is not a scary matchup. And Mariota hasn't been great, but he hasn't been great in some tough matchups. He had to play the Saints, division opponent. The Saints have a good defense. And he had to play the Rams on the road. We got breaking news. J.K. Dobbins, questionable for Sunday, is expected to make his 2022 regular season debut versus the Patriots. Okay, J.K. Dobbins, expected to be in. I would still not fire up J.K. Dobbins if you have any other alternative option. If you're between Dobbins and, an RB3 or a wide receiver 3 or even 4, I would probably stick with the pivot. I don't know if I would trust J.K. Dobbins. Fire him up at your own risk. He could be on a pitch count. This is a tough matchup on the road in New England anyway. I would tread with extreme caution with J.K. Dobbins. Super happy for him that he's making his season debut. Suffered, I think, ACL, LCL, MCL injuries last year, all in one fell swoop that shut down his 2021 season. So really happy for J.K. Dobbins. It sounds like he's going to make a season debut tomorrow. I would tread with extreme caution. He is an RB3 for this week, and I would say the upside is possible, but not through the roof. I would tread with extreme caution with J.K. Dobbins. But anyway, Luis, I think I would go Mariota over Fields. He has shown a little bit more in some tougher matchups, and now he has what's probably going to amount to his easiest matchup of the year without looking at the rest of his schedule in Seattle. He should be okay. Fields against Houston, that's a good matchup too. It's just it's been a struggle for the Bears offense so far. They do get a break. Against Houston. But Mariota has shown like a little bit more. And between Drake London and Kyle Pitts, Mariota has better weapons than Fields. And you can throw Cordell Patterson in there too. Fields has David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, and Equanimeous St. Brown. At least Mariota has. I know Kyle Pitts hasn't fired thus far, but he's, nobody's mincing words. Kyle Pitts is a superior talent and option to anything the Bears have on offense. Plus Drake London. Mariota's got better weapons. I would ride with Mariota. What's going on, Sam? Asking me a question where we're playing each other. I see what you're doing here. Duvernay or Higbee in my flex this week. I should punt this to the chat, but I'll be a nice person. I guess I would roll the dice on Duvernay's upside. Higbee should remain pretty involved in the underneath. You have 11 targets week 1. Didn't turn that into much. What was that? 5 catches, 39 yards week 1. Week 2, wasn't week 2 better? Yeah, week 2 was better. Still played almost 100% of the snaps, 9 targets, 7 catches, 71 yards, much better. Slightly, I guess, tougher matchup with the Cardinals as opposed to the Falcons. Higbee is your safe play. I guess Duvernay has a little bit more upside because he plays special teams. He's got a little bit more of deep threat to him. I like guys that can go deep. That can hurt you with just one play. Guess I would go Duvernay. Thanks for coming in. Always appreciate seeing the members. Let's see. I guess let me take a quick, there are some questions piling up in the chat. I promise I will get to everybody. Just a quick FYI one more time, or at least for now, John is off today. He will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern for our start sit help before the slate. If anybody's interested in a little bit more access, or maybe you miss us after this stream, you can get to our Discord, evergreen invite, third link in the description of this video. You can crowdsource start sit questions in there. Or if you like what you see from this channel, if you are not a member and would like to become one, first link in the description of this video, there are details about our membership options. One being, that's the practice squad membership level. You'll get 2 extra streams with us a week throughout the season. Wednesdays and Thursdays, member-only streams. You don't get any other perks, but if you do join with the practice squad level membership, you do get additional streams from us. Little less volume in these start-sit streams. You might get your question answered faster, and again, you get a little bit more access to us throughout the season. So practice squad membership gets you access to additional streams. There are other levels if you're interested, and of course, the Discord. Third link in the description of this video. Evergreen invite. You can crowdsource start sit help there as well. Appreciate the opportunity to just do the quick plugs for my channel. Now let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to check on some of the previous questions. Let's see if anybody answered my questions about scoring for their leagues. Patrick, you said it's standard non-PPR scoring. So I would probably go Bateman and since it's standard and you need to start a running back, I guess I would go Clyde. I like Gibson a lot, but Gibson is getting spelled by both Curtis Samuel and J.D. McKissick. Clyde is getting spelled by Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. Gibson's at home against the Eagles. That's a little bit of a tougher matchup. Clyde's got a tough matchup too against the Colts. Both are pass catching threats. Gibson is without Brian Robinson one more week. Gibson at home, Clyde on the road. I'm not considering Edmonds. I'm not considering ETN for better or worse. ETN's talented. It's just I need to now pull back on him a little bit. As far as expectations there. Gibson's the starter on a Gibson's a little bit more of a traditional running back on not as good of an offense, although Washington's been decent so far to start the year. Tough matchup against the Eagles. They are at home. Clyde is on the road. Great offense against a struggling team in the Colts, although you would expect them to play better winless at home against a good team. Maybe I lean Gibson. Maybe I actually lean Gibson as more of like the traditional running back in standard. It's either Bateman and Gibson or Bateman and CEH. Clyde's been playing better, but Gibson has been just fine. Might lean Gibson. I know I originally said Clyde, but I might lean Gibson. That's a tough one, but I would fire up Bateman. Although, in standard, you could also just go Clyde and Gibson too. Bateman's got not a great matchup, but he has been firing the first 2 weeks. It's hard to sit him. So I think I would still fire up Bateman and then either Gibson or Clyde. Go with your gut if you're feeling a certain way or if you prefer one of those two, let me know. We can talk through this a little bit further. Eli, what's going on? You cannot decide between Hollywood Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Damian Harris, or Allen Lazard. I would go with the guy you drafted probably way higher than those other guys in Marquise Brown. He's still the clear wide receiver one. I know he's going to see Jalen Ramsey this week, but he's still far and away or should be the top option in the Cardinals passing attack. No DeAndre Hopkins. I know Greg Dortch has been playing well. Cardinals are at home. I think I would play Marquise Brown. At least for one more week. Give me the guy you drafted like 5-6 rounds ahead of these other guys. CXK, I am going to stop you right there. I'm not sending anything away for Kmet. I am not buying Cole Kmet. I would rather I would fire up Daniel Bellinger. That's how much I don't want Cole Kmet. If you need a tight end, aim a little higher. I'm not buying Cole Kmet. I'm dropping Cole Kmet. AB, you agree? Curtis Samuel. Samuel, Jacoby Myers, and Jeff Wilson. Curtis Samuel. I think I saw Patrick mention he would say Myers. Feel free to have a debate about it in the chat, folks. That's what we want to do. We want to help each other out here if we can. It's a fair point. Jacoby's floor is, it's not impossible that he finally every now and then he has those 8 catches for 60 yards, but he also gets the touchdown in there. But yeah, he's not really a ceiling play. Curtis Samuel has a little bit more upside. That's a fair point. And Callie, I got to this one. I wouldn't stream any of those other guys. I wouldn't stream any of those other defenses. I would just roll with the Chiefs. Riley, what's going on? Mariota or Trevor Lawrence? Lawrence is on the road against the Chargers. I would probably just go with Lawrence. Lawrence was drafted, 10th, 11th round. Mariota was a waiver ad. Lawrence is better. Christian Kirk has been firing. I know Travis Etienne hasn't, but he still has Etienne. Could be a game where the Jags are trailing. They find themselves having to play catch up. I guess you could say the same thing for Mariota, but I would trust Lawrence as a little bit more of a pure passer in that situation than I do Mariota. I would go Lawrence. I would go with Trevor Lawrence. Gianni Video, should you start Derek Carr or Herbert? I mean, if Herbert's in, you have to play Herbert. I know the ribs are a concern. I know it's a pain tolerance thing. Can he deal with it? Can he handle it? I have to play Herbert if he's in. I know, even if Keenan Allen is out, Herbert can get a ton of points, dumping it off to Austin Eckler, dumping it off to Gerald Everett. Maybe he hits a shot or two to Mike Williams. I know Derek Carr is healthy and has really good weapons himself, but Herbert's the better player. I would take Herbert at 60% than Carr at 90, 95%. I'm just going to roll the dice on the better player. I'm going to roll the dice on Justin Herbert. And okay, Riley, if Herbert is out, yeah, I would go Lawrence. I would expect both guys to be in it. Even if Herbert is out, the Chargers are a good enough team where they should beat Jacksonville, or they should be able to contend with Jacksonville even without Herbert. I would trust Lawrence because neutral game situation on the road probably favors the pass. And Lawrence is a better pure thrower of the football than Mariota is. So I would trust Lawrence a little bit more. Luis, no problem. Glad that we were on the same page. Gits, what's going on, Gits? 12 team, 3/4 PPR. I like these unique scoring options or scoring settings. I do. I like leagues that you try different things. You mess around with different things. You experiment. That's the word I was looking for. Experiment. Words are hard. 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex. Your running backs are Saquon, Monty, and J.D. McKissick. Oh, and Kenneth Walker. Okay. Kupp, A.J. Brown, Godwin, London, Bateman, Myers, Dotson. Nicely done with your wide receivers. Do you trade London for A.J. Dillon? Oof. Man. I would say no. As much as I love Dillon, the 3/4 PPR, it's not quite full PPR, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. It's going to favor the wide receivers. And London looks like he might be a upside wide receiver or low-end wide receiver 2. I almost said upside wide receiver 3. I think that's selling him short. London might have top 25 upside at the position moving forward. And while I love Dillon, who having potentially more upside as a running back, you're covered with Saquon and Monty. Could you get... Man, I don't want to trade Bateman either. Kupp, A.J. Brown, Godwin's a good hold. I would not try to sell Godwin either. I think Godwin's a great buy low candidate right now. So if you have Godwin, hold Godwin. I would buy low on Chris Godwin right now. So he's not the sell. The other name here is Bateman. I don't know if I want to sell Bateman either. It's not a bad thought to try to get Dillon and boost your running back depth. Oh, man. Let's wait and see if Kenneth Walker maybe Kenneth Walker spells Penny a little bit more this week. And then maybe you could do something like Walker and Myers or Walker and Dotson. Let's see if Dotson can have another strong, let's see if Dotson scores another touchdown. Maybe you can sell high. Let's try to sell high on a good performance. I would wait, Gits, especially because Dillon's got a tough matchup this week against Tampa Bay. He might not fire. He might give you a floor play, but Dillon might not give you that ceiling play that you're hoping for from him, even in a favorable situation where him and Aaron Jones should remain heavily utilized with how thin the Packers receiving core is. I would wait a week. Let's see if Dylan's stock comes down a little bit after this matchup, and let's see if some of your depth guys get some stock up this week. Let's revisit this on Let's revisit this on Tuesday. We host a waiver wire show, but obviously that can also be trade help as well. We host a waiver wire show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's maybe revisit this then. I might roll the dice and hope that my wide receivers play pretty well this week. If Bateman has a down week this week, you might be able to sell Bateman for Dylan plus. Just spitballing. But I would hold at least for right now. It's not a bad thought, though. I do like Dylan. Sam, no problem. CXK, you are kind of on the fence with that trade as well. Yeah, London feels tough to part with right now. He's looking really good. JP, what's going on? And I do see everybody's questions and comments in here. I will get to everybody. I promise. Just ask for a little bit of patience. I will get to everybody. JP, Samuel, Miles Sanders, or Javonte Williams? This has got to be Javonte. You have to fire up Javonte among these options. I know Curtis Samuel is on a heater right now, and Miles Sanders actually is too. Sanders is playing well to start the year. You got to go with Javonte. You got to go Javonte. He's your best player. You probably drafted him at the 2-3 turn. I know Melvin Gordon's getting plenty of work in there, but Javonte is getting tons of receiving work at home. Looks explosive. I would play Javonte pretty definitively here, JP. And gets Mooney or Dobbins, man. Again, I worry about Dobbins this week. I do. I know he's making his debut. I'm happy for J.K. Dobbins. Mooney's done nothing, right? What's he got, like 5 receiving yards through 2 weeks? This might be the threshold. I think I would, I know it's gross. I know it's ugly. I know you probably don't want to do it. I would probably play Mooney. I want to see Dobbins 1 week before I fire him back up into my lineup. He missed the first 2 weeks. This is a tough matchup on the road in New England. Could be on a pitch count, right? At least with Mooney, he's not on, we know Mooney's going to play every snap, right? Hasn't he at least played? He's played every snap, right? I know, again, Mooney's production has literally been non-existent, but he's playing 90% of the snaps. Dobbins might play 50% of the snaps. I know it's gross gets, but I think I would fire up Mooney 1 more week. And if Dobbins shows out and does pretty well, then you can move forward with Dobbins starting in week 4 and leave Mooney in the rearview mirror. But for 1 more week, I would play Mooney. Let's see Dobbins first. Sam, Hines, Edmonds, or Pierce for your RB2 spot? I think it's been hard to trust Lovie Smith with what he has said this year so far. It's been hard to trust him. But it seems like they're going back to Damien Pierce, or they're moving forward with Damien Pierce just based on his usage last week. It's not a great matchup on the road in Chicago, and obviously, maybe not obviously, but for anybody who might not be totally, fully aware of the situation, maybe you are. Soldier Field has they have that reputation as having one of the worst fields in the NFL. Like their their turf, their grass is just it's not well kept. I think the weather has plays a role in their inability to keep it well kept. So that's always a concern. The Bears are respectable on defense. That being said, I would probably play Pierce. Chase Edmonds is he's at home, but he's against the Bills. The Bills are down multiple pieces on defense. Edmonds does make for an intriguing flex play because you would think the Dolphins have to keep pace with the Bills, right? There's a high over-under in that game. So Edmonds should get some usage, but it's just a bad matchup. And then with Hines, I like Nyheim Hines. I do. And this is a favorable matchup for him as well. He's at home. Colts have to keep pace with the Chiefs, but the Colts they've been bad on offense. Pierce, of these guys, probably has the most upside for 15, 17, 18 touches. He got 16 last week. He got 12 week 1, didn't do much with them. He got 16 week 2. I would think of these 3 guys, Pierce is the most likely to get the 17, 18 touches. So I guess I would go Pierce for the, if anything, Pierce is the floor, should be able to rely on volume to get you a solid play option. Hines, I would say, is maybe a little bit more like I need to swing for the fences. Maybe I'm a big underdog and I might as well go for the Hail Mary. Hines got involved early last week, but he got taken out of the game plan for reasons unknown. I guess the Jags were able to key on him with the Colts out, so many wide receivers, and Matt Ryan did not play well for most of that game. Michael Pittman being back definitely helps Nyheim Hines. I guess I would say he's a desperation play if you feel like you're a sizable underdog and you need to swing for the fences. If not, I guess I would probably just go Pierce. Jack Lombard, want to hear my thoughts about this trade? I can do that. You give Etienne, Higbee, and Bateman. You receive Kyle Pitts and A.J. Dillon. And you have London. Man, I love Bateman, but I think this is a good buy low on Kyle Pitts. And you're picking up A.J. Dillon. You agree with me about Pierce, by the way, as far as generally speaking, floor play probably should be fine. So yeah, I would go Pierce. If you're a 30-point underdog, then Hines, I guess. At that point, it might not matter. I think I like the Kyle Pitts, A.J. Dillon acquisition, Jack. Bateman's awesome, right? Big play ability, 4.4 speed. He's caught bombs for touchdowns week 1 and week 2, right? There's no reason to believe his usage isn't going anywhere. But if you can replace with London, you upgrade from Etienne to Dillon and from Higbee to Pitts. Could you squeeze his last bench player just to make it a 3 for 3? Whoever's at the end of their bench, can you just make it a 3 for, just throw in somebody? I think I would do it. I love Bateman. I do. Bateman's tough to part with, but you know the old mantra, you know the saying, right, guys? You got to give something to get something. And to get Pitts to buy, it's not a buy low because you're giving up Bateman, but to get Pitts and Dillon, I kind of like that. I kind of do. ETN has a James Robinson problem. AJ Dillon doesn't have that. AJ Dillon doesn't have an Aaron Jones problem. ETN has a James Robinson problem. You know what I mean? It's funny because it's they're not so different situations, but they are. And then Higbee or Pitts, I mean, it's not a question. Kyle Pitts. I kind of like that trade, Jack. Kind of like it. Patrick, you got it? No problem. Let's see. Where are we at? A. Just A. What's going on, A? Would you trade Mark Andrews for Kiddle, Keenan Allen, and Hopkins? Holy hell, man. That's a lot. I mean, you're getting Kiddle. This is really interesting. Because normally for Mark Andrews, I would say no, but that's a pretty damn good haul. I think if you feel what's the rest of your roster, A? What are you looking at as far as are you 1-1? Are you 2-0? Are you 0-2? Are you 0-2 and maybe you're off to a slow start? If that's the case, I might not do it. If you're 2-0 or even 1-1, if you love your roster, if you're I got great options everywhere. I can wait on Hopkins. I can roll those dice on Keenan Allen. Put your whole lineup. Put your whole lineup in the chat. Let's see what we're working with. If you're loaded, I might do that deal. If you're not, and Mark Andrews is a stud for you on a team that is maybe a little thin in depth, then maybe I wouldn't. But if you have a good roster and you can afford to wait on Hopkins and you feel like you'll be in perfectly fine, you'll be contending or at least treading water through the first 6 weeks of the season, let's see your whole lineup. Patrick, you were thinking both back. Yeah, I think I gotta play. It's a tough matchup for Bateman. But the target share in Baltimore is so consolidated. It's Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. Duvernay can mix in, gets 4 or 5 targets maybe here and there, but the targets go to Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews. That is it. I think you got to fire him up and just hope for a big play, and he can do that. He can do that. New England's defense is good. Belichick has a reputation, right? Great defensive mind, whatever. Start your studs. I think Bateman at this point is a stud. Between CEH and Gibson, I think, man, Clyde is on the better offense. I feel like Gibson has a little bit more guaranteed volume. Believe it or not. Jerick McKinnon got a lot of work week 2. That being said, it was a short week. They could have been scaling back Clyde's workload. Shit, man. I think I keep going back and forth. I do like players on better offenses. That's a tough call. That's a tough call. Bateman, Clyde's on the better offense. Gibson might have a little bit more rushing volume. Might have to revisit that one. I keep going back and forth on those backs, man. I'm sorry. Jack, you agree about the value? I mean, you're not kidding. There's lots of value in that trade. I want to see your roster. I want to see your roster. Let me know. Lots of questions in the chat and comments. I will get to everything. Don't worry. Let's see. JP. Trading Javonte, Waddle, and Curtis Samuel for Carter, Jamar Chase, and Kelsey. You would trade Javonte, you would trade Waddle, you would trade Curtis Samuel for Michael Thomas, Jamar Chase, and Travis Kelsey. Michael Carter, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelsey. Man, I mean, you're talking about sizable drop off for running back. I wouldn't say it's a significant upgrade, but it is an upgrade at wide receiver going from Waddle to Chase. And then it's a significant upgrade from Kelsey to, well, if you have Darren Waller, if you already have Darren Waller, as much as I love Travis Kelsey, I would probably not do that deal because it's a big drop off from Javonte to Michael Carter, and you have pretty good receiving options in Waddle and Curtis Samuel. Since you already have Waller, I think I probably would not. It's a decent offer, though. Yeah. Yep. And Wentz, do garbage points salvage his day? I mean, sure, that's certainly possible. I don't know if that's going to go to garbage time. This is probably going to be, it should be a relatively competitive game. That being said, I do think the Eagles are the better team with the better defense. Certainly possible, though. A's asking another trade question. Kamara and Drake London for Najee and AJ Brown. Najee scares me with the Lisfranc injury, but if I can go from Drake London to AJ Brown, I would. Man, that's intriguing. That's intriguing. Let's see how Kamara looks tomorrow. Is Kamara supposed to play? I know he's questionable. Let's see how if Kamara is able to bounce back a little bit before we go, not that this is a sell low. But you just want to make sure you're not giving up a guy who still has that top 5 RB1 upside that Kamara has brought to the table for so many years. What's up, Max? Thanks for coming in. Good to see everybody helping each other out. Good to see everybody helping each other out in the chat. Adam, where's my mask? Dude, I forgot it at your mom's house. My bad. If you could call her and let her know that I could use that, she could drop it off for me, I would appreciate it. Mike, should you trade Justin Jefferson and Josh Jacobs or one of Josh Jacobs or Tony Pollard for AJ Dillon, CD, and Gabe. Holy hell, dude. Maybe. You're getting an upgrade from Jacobs to Dillon. Going from Jefferson to CD and Gabe. CD, it's kind of painful right now. But getting both CD and Gabe is pretty strong value. Jefferson's the best player by far. And then you have both Jacobs and Pollard. I would honestly say that's relatively fair. You choose which one you want to pick between Jacobs and Pollard. Jefferson's the best piece in this deal by a sizable margin. But that's a pretty strong package in Dillon, CD, or Gabe. I mean, Mike, it comes down to if I don't know if Nemo's in here. I always like his mantra. If I can talk myself out of the trade, then I don't want to do it. If you can talk yourself out of the trade, then don't do it. But that's a pretty damn good package. Pretty damn good package. And yeah, Jack, that is the exact breakdown for the Packers offense. Aaron Jones is their wide receiver 1. If you already did the deal, if you did the trade, then yeah, nicely done. I think that's pretty good getting Pitts and Dillon. Let's see. Where are we at? Chef and Nabi? I hope I'm saying that right. Any trades I should make to sell high on Clyde? I mean, do you need receiver help? What's your roster looking like? Send us your roster. Let's look at your running back depth. Let's look at your receiver depth. Let me know. Let me know. All right. Hey, you are 2-0. You have Mahomes. Okay. Montgomery and Kamara. I mean, on paper, that looks really good. Kamara hasn't exactly fired yet, but it's still early. Kupp, Deontay, Mark Andrews, London. Okay, so there's some good depth here. All right. Yeah, I think I would do that deal. Because you're 2-0, you're probably feeling good about your prospects moving forward. You're getting a huge haul. You're getting a guy with tight end 1 upside still in Kiddle. Andrews is better. Andrews is obviously better, but to get Kiddle and Hopkins, and you could potentially, it's a bit of a lottery ticket at this point with Keenan Allen as far as his health. But if he's able to come back healthy, that's a pretty damn good haul. I think I would do it, I think I would do it. Patrick doesn't like having 2 pieces of the Atlanta offense. That's fair. That's fine, especially because Pitts hasn't fired the first couple weeks, right? Fair concern to have. But you're talking about a guy who might have wide receiver 2 upside for the rest of the season, and a guy who is still a high-end tight end 1 option in Pitts. And JP, should you play Curtis Samuel or Miles Sanders over Waddle? No. I would not. Play Waddle. Yeah, without hesitation. Alex, what's going on? Start 1 between Jacobs, Edmonds, Pollard, or Dobbins. I probably got to go Jacobs. It's boring. It's gross. It's ugly. He traveled with the team, or he didn't travel with the team. He traveled to Tennessee today, to Nashville, separate from the team because he had an illness. Questionable to play. The fact that he's traveling puts him on the optimistic side of playing. if he's over his illness, which is obviously a non-COVID illness because otherwise he wouldn't be traveling. I would go the guy who is, remains his team's RB1. The snap share and volume speak for itself. The results haven't totally yet. But Jacobs is the guy in that backfield. Edmonds got usurped by Raheem Mostert last week. I don't know if that's going to happen again. Pollard is electric, is exciting, but he's a little hit or miss, right? He's a little up and down, and that's not his fault. That's just the Cowboys' usage of him. Dobbins, I don't trust week 1. I just don't. Did I miss something? Something about Isaiah McKenzie? About dropping him? I might have missed something. If I missed something, I apologize. Go ahead and repost it. Let me know. Jack thinks you should start Pollard, Alex. Jacobs is questionable, but Jacobs is questionable with an illness, not an injury. If he's feeling better, I want to play Jacobs. And he's traveling. He's traveling to Nashville. That's where they play, right? They don't play in Memphis. They play in Nashville. He's traveling. That puts him on the optimistic side of playing. I think I would go Jacobs. And then let's see, Mike, you had a follow-up about that trade that involved Justin Jefferson. Your running backs would be Dillon, Hunt, and either Jacobs or Pollard. Wide receivers would be CD, Pittman, Cooks, Gabe Davis, and Terry on the bench. Okay. And So my only concern, Mike, is that you don't have like if I'm giving up Justin Jefferson, ideally, I love AJ Dillon, but I'm ideally looking for a guy who I would maybe rank at least still this early in the season a little higher than that. I think I would shoot a little higher. I know you're getting really good receivers in CD and Gabe Davis, but the backs are a little thin. Giving up the best player in the trade is always a little concerning for me, although I will say that would be a nice haul. And I guess it's an upgrade going from Dillon to either Jacobs or Pollard. CD, Pittman, Cooks, Gabe Davis. You can start all 4 of those guys. Or you can it's either start CD, Pittman, Cooks, Gabe Davis, and Terry mixes in, or it's start Justin Jefferson, Pittman, Cooks, and Terry, and you never have a lineup decision. You just fire up all 4 of those guys. It's a tough call. I would say the trade looks balanced, but you're giving up the best player. You're giving up the best guy in Justin Jefferson. So if you are comfortable giving up the best guy, then it looks like a fair package. It looks like a fair offer. So Tober, what's going on? Russ, Jimmy G, or Mariota? If Herbert is out, man. I think Jerry Jeudy is supposed to play. So of these options, I guess I would give Russ one more week, although I don't feel great about it. Hope Herbert plays. Because even a banged up Herbert, if Herbert's active, he's in. He has to be in for you. If Herbert plays, play Herbert. Otherwise, I would play Russ. If Herbert's out, I would go Russ. And just hope for the best. I think Jeudy returned to practice on Friday. He should play. I would give Russ one more week if Herbert's out. So, yeah. Teal Storm, what's going on? PPR, flex London or Gabe Davis? Gabe, baby, man. You got to go Gabe. Babe Davis, Gabe Watch, Gaby Baby, whatever you want to call him. I don't care. I got all the nicknames for Gabe. Start Bay Davis. Look, I like London. London looks like he's coming on. London's going to be a nice, strong upside wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2, potentially for the rest of the season. And it's not a scary matchup. Gabe is a bona fide wide receiver 2 floor attached to the best passing offense in the NFL. I'm rolling the dice on Gabe. His rate of scoring touchdowns is outrageous. Yeah, he probably can't keep it up. It'll probably regress at some point, but ride the wave while you can, man. Fire up Gabe Davis. Yeah, I'm firing up Gabe. Moving right along. Hopefully I didn't miss any questions in the chat. If I did, I apologize. Feel free to repost it if you did not, if you haven't gotten an answer or if you were expecting one by now and if I maybe missed something. I'm just going off of the YouTube chat. Hopefully you guys can see it so you can hopefully see where I'm at, give you a little sense of an idea of where I am and how long you have to wait until your question comes up. Let me know. Adam Weber. What's up, Adam? Start Allen Robinson or DJ Moore as your flex. Panthers are playing the Saints, which means Moore is going to see Lattimore, and they've been struggling. Robinson at least caught a touchdown last week and should have had 2. For as bad as I felt about Robinson after week 1, he bounced back nicely week 2. I would go Allen Robinson. Robinson has officially shown something more recently than DJ Moore, and that's what it comes down to for me. Moore's got a brutal matchup against Marshawn Lattimore and hasn't quite fired yet. But don't trade DJ Moore. If there's anything, I would try to buy low on DJ Moore. I would not sell low on DJ Moore. He's still seeing 100% of the snaps. Only 6 targets in back-to-back games. That is going to change at some point. It's going to change at some point. But for now, give me Allen Robinson. Duck. What's up, Duck? Half PPR. Hollywood Brown or Terry McLaurin? Hollywood. And Jack agrees. Yeah, he's the clear wide receiver 1. Terry's got a lot of competition in Washington now between Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gibson gets receiving work. Logan Thomas is back and has been contributing sooner than I thought he might based off of his offseason recovery from injury. Logan Thomas is factoring in. J.D. McKissick is still there. There is a lot of work distributed in this Commanders offense in a way that hasn't been in previous years. Hollywood should continue to operate as the clear-cut wide receiver 1 for the Cardinals. Yes, he has to see Jalen Ramsey, but he's I think locked in for more work than McLaurin is. Hollywood. I would go Hollywood over Terry. Jack agrees, like I said. And Duck, it sounds like you have Hollywood in there. I would keep him in there. Yeah. Go with your gut. If your gut is that the guy who's currently in your lineup is your guy, stick with your guy. Stick with your guy. Patrick, I went 0 RB in a league as well. I don't have Pitts, but I have Kelsey, so I feel just fine. But yeah, I hammered wide receiver, made a couple trades. It was a keeper league, so I made a couple of trades. Also went 0 RB. My starting running backs are weak, but I like the rest of my team, and I'm not giving up on Pitts this year. If anything, yeah, like I said, I'm buying Kyle Pitts. I have not given up on his upside. Not at all. Adam, what's the top streaming defense this week? I mean, there's a few. I mean, Kansas City's one of them. Playing the Colts, not off to a good start on offense this year. Yeah, they're on the road, but I like looking for teams who I think are going to just win the game. Teams that win the game, the defense is in a favorable situation, right? They get opportunities to create sacks and turnovers because they get to play with a lead. I just, I assume the Chiefs are going to win their games most of the time, even on the road. And against a bad offense like Indianapolis, Kansas City looks like a good option. I don't know if the Cowboys are available, but they're an option going up against the Giants. The Cowboys might be owned. The Cowboys defense might not be available, but against the Giants, going up against Daniel Jones, I don't care that the Giants are 2-0. Daniel Jones has not played well. The Cowboys are an option. Seattle and Atlanta are playing each other. That's a wash. That's a push. Those are usually two offenses you would think you want to target. That's not the case this week. Kansas City and Dallas are some good options. Cincinnati is like a little interesting, but the Jets have been pretty good. Flacco's been solid through 2 weeks. The Bengals are interesting at home against the Jets, but I don't know if I would go out of my way to go for them. The Saints have a good matchup. The Eagles are good. The Eagles have a good, the Eagles had a great game against the Vikings. Now they get, Carson Wentz has the revenge game narrative, but so does the Eagles defense. So, the Eagles are going to be, Carson Wentz is going to be fired up to play the Eagles. The Eagles are going to also be fired up to play Carson Wentz. The Eagles are a good option. They played great against Minnesota Monday night. So there's a few. I don't know if any, like the Chargers against Jacksonville is interesting. Lawrence has been playing better this year, but at home with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, you would expect the Chargers to be able to get some pressure on Lawrence. There's a few options. All right. I got a few more questions going on in the chat. Appreciate everybody's patience. Let's see. Duck, you traded James Robinson and Logan Thomas for Devontae Smith and Dawson Knox. All right. And you dropped Devontae for Drake London. Okay. Sounds like this might be like a smaller league. Is this like an 8-team league? Like Devontae Smith shouldn't be on waivers, but neither should Drake London. So I guess you ultimately traded James Robinson and Logan Thomas for what? Dawson Knox and Drake London? That's what this ultimately amounted to? Robinson and Thomas for Knox and London? It's a push, I guess. If you have 4 good running backs and you didn't need Robinson, I guess that's fine. You could use some receiver help. It's weird that Devontae Smith and Drake... It's weird that Devontae Smith could be dropped in this league, and it's weird that Drake London was available to begin with. I mean, it must be a shallow league, in which case, it's hard to go wrong. There's going to be probably really good options available on the wire every single week. Oh, Goff, Sotober. Got you. Goff, I guess. Yeah, I guess Goff over Russ. That's wild. It's not a good matchup. The Vikings are much better at home. Goff's been playing well. The Lions have been playing well. The Vikings have 2 good pass rushers, Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, right? The Vikings are going to play much better at home. We haven't seen Goff on the road yet. He's played 2 good games at home. Now he has to go on the road. At least Russ is at home. Goff's maybe got better offensive line. Russ has more, I guess, high-end talent. Goff has like a deeper collection of talent, I guess. Goff's been playing well. Russ hasn't. I guess we're talking about, at this point in October, we're talking about Goff at his ceiling versus Russ at his floor. So I guess with that mindset in mind, I guess I would, I originally said Russ. I know it's been gross, but I think I would go Russ. I think I would go Russ. And Jack, what's my opinion on Brady this week? Tough to trust. Tough to trust. He's going to have Russell Gage and Scotty Miller and Brashad Perriman to throw the ball to. Mike Evans is suspended. Chris Godwin is out. Julio Jones is a game-time call. I don't feel good about Julio's prospects. Against a pretty good Packers defense. Now, he is at home, and we've seen Brady do more with less in the past. But the Packers do have a good defense. And it's just like it's bare bones. Gage is going to be his wide receiver 1, and he's coming into the week questionable. Leonard Fournette's coming into the game questionable. I worry about Brady this week. If your options are, Joe Flacco, Marcus Mariota, Geno Smith, go with Brady. Just go with the guy who is the best quarterback and hope for the best. But if you have like a anywhere in the same vicinity as far as pivots, I think I would go that route. And Patrick, as far as your 0 RB roster, AJ Brown, Diggs, Justin Jefferson, nice. Pitts, Bateman, Robin. Yeah, dang, you went all out on wide receivers, but it's really strong. But you still have Clyde and Gibson and some good and great depth, ETN and Hunt. Should you put a package together? No, stand pat. I like your team a lot. Stay right where you're at, Patrick. Don't do literally do nothing. I would not. You have Clyde and you have and Gibson and Edmonds and ETN and Kareem Hunt. Stay where you're at. The Beast, start James Robinson or Antonio Gibson? Robinson's on the road against the Chargers. Gibson is at home against the Eagles. Neither one is a spectacular matchup. Gibson has been pretty strongly involved so far, right? The snap count is not there, but he is getting volume. 14 carries the first 2 weeks. He caught 7 passes week 1, only 2 week 2, but still, 21 touches and 21 and 16 touches to open the season is pretty good. As for Robinson, snap share is not so different. 50% week 1, 63% week 2, so he got more snaps week 2. And went all the way up to 25 touches week 2. That was a game that the Jags had in hand pretty comfortably from the start. It might not be the same narrative on the road against the Chargers. I think I would play Gibson. At home. Maybe a little more, his usage might be a little bit more locked in, whereas Robinson on the road against a pretty good defense, they could, if Herbert plays and the Chargers are able to get a lead, we might see a little bit more ETN. So I think I would go Gibson. Art Jum, thanks for stopping in. You need 2 for flex, full PPR. Ayuk, Jordan Mason, Raheem Mostert, Garrett Wilson, McKenzie. Ayuk and Wilson. Go with those 2 receivers. Brandon Ayuk with Jimmy G back, right? Jimmy G's back in the mix. Yes, Kittle's back, but so is Jimmy G. Not that Jimmy G inspires like this high-octane aerial attack, but you have to, Trey Lance was still kind of like in his baby stages, right? As far as his development. Jimmy G is going to have a little bit more, going to probably command a slightly more competent passing attack. So I'll go Ayuk. Mason can't be trusted just yet. Mostert got most of the work last week in the Dolphins backfield. I don't know if that stays the same against the Bills. Garrett Wilson exploded last week. Let's ride that wave. McKenzie gets relegated to the wide receiver 3 position with Gabe Davis back. Ayuk and Wilson. Yeah, go with those receivers. The Beast, another question, 12-team PPR, or this is, this is like a roster question. Wilson and Carr, so Carr should probably just be your guy for now. McCaffrey, Dobbins, Gibson, Robinson, Rashad White, you're good there. Lamb, Waddle, Gallup, Ayuk, Samuel, and Juju, tight end Andrews. I don't think you need to worry too much about trying to upgrade somewhere right now, The Beast. I think you're fine. You have McCaffrey. You have, and then it's just like a choice between running backs each week. I think we're going to go I would suggest Gibson this week. If you prefer Robinson, then go with your gut. But I think I would suggest Gibson this week. But you have options moving forward for the rest of the season when you factor Dobbins in. And then Waddle's been a wide receiver 1. Gallup is coming back. Lamb is still a guy you have to fire up. And you have great, ancillary options in Ayuk, and I assume that's Curtis Samuel. Maybe you package like Gibson and one of your depth wide receivers for a stronger name at wide receiver since it's full PPR. Like maybe after this week, try to let's hope Gibson has a good game, right? With a couple more weeks without Brian Robinson, and then maybe try to sell high on Gibson. And then maybe move either Ayuk or hope, maybe Juju. If I'm you, I'm hoping Juju has a big week this week, and then I try to sell high. Like sell Juju and Gibson for like a stud name at wide receiver. That's what I would try to do. But otherwise, I think you're fine. Duck, I think that's Jordan Mason, 49ers backup running back. And Patrick's got you. Appreciate everybody's collab in the chat. Much appreciated. Mike, let's see. Trade Pittman for CD. Is that CD? Trade Pittman for CD and Gabe Davis? Yeah. If you can keep Justin Jefferson and instead trade Pittman for CD and Gabe Davis, then sure. And I would want Gabe over Judy. Yeah, honestly, do that, Mike. Yes. You can get 2 for Pittman. I would do CD and Gabe. I would do CD and Gabe Davis for Pittman. Buy low on CD Lamb. Dak is expected back at some point, and CD is still, CD's, I think, a better version of Pittman. They're in the same offense, or they're in the same style of, or they're in the same role in their offense is what I meant to say. Bonafide wide receiver 1s, slightly uninspiring quarterback play right now, but CD's going to get Dak back, and you get Gabe. Yeah, do that, Mike. If you can do that, make that happen. Dan, start Dylan or Jacoby PPR. So both of these guys are probably floor plays this week. Dylan's ceiling is probably capped in a pretty tough matchup against Tampa Bay. That is a great defense, and he's on the road. Now, he's probably going to catch some passes. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones should be heavily involved in the receiving game this week. Sammy Watkins is out. Packers wide receivers are kind of uninspiring in general. Jacoby has, it was brought up nicely. I think it was AB earlier. Jacoby's floor and ceiling are the same. So both of these guys are floor plays. Dylan would every single week have more upside, the better ceiling. But I don't know that his ceiling is there this week. It could be rough sledding against the Bucs defense. I would say Dylan is your super safe floor play where if you feel like you can get away with like a guy, if you can get away with Dylan getting you like, it could just be 8, 9, 10 points. Like that's all it could be. But if you think you can get away with that, then I would start Dylan. If you think you need like, Jacoby rarely has a higher ceiling than most guys, but in this situation, I would say it's maybe his ceiling's maybe a little higher, not significantly higher than Dylan's, but maybe a little higher. If you need like 12, 13 points, Jacoby might be a little safer bet for that. I would say Dylan, if you can play it safe. Jacoby's not a swing for the fences play. But in a brutal matchup against Tampa Bay for Dylan, Jacoby might have a slightly higher ceiling this week, slightly higher. Dylan is a talent level tier break though. So for me, I'm inclined to like want to start Dylan. I'm gearing up to not get a lot from Dylan tomorrow. But in most situations, he's still a guy I want to start. Let's see. Dirty Dan. Should you start Allen Robinson or Drake London? Man. They're both in the same tier. I guess Robinson is a little bit more proven. London is his team's, at least right now, I mean, including Kyle Pitts, London is his team's top option, and there's nothing scary about a matchup in Seattle. Robinson is a safe play. Dirty Dan, London is more of an upside play. If you think you could, I would say London has a little bit more upside. Robinson, I would say, is a little safer. Like London's maybe got a little bit more boom bust. Robinson might be a little safer. They're both pretty close for me, though. They're at very similar tiers. Yeah, that's pretty close, man. Two solid options. They're pretty much very close to the same tier. Wesley, what's going on, Wesley? How much should you trade for Breece Hall? Not much. You should be able to get Breece without really breaking the bank. If you have, if your wide receiver depth is strong and you can trade your fourth option for him, then maybe do that. Or fifth option would be even better. But like fifth option and a depth running back for Breece, or your wide receiver four, if your wide receivers are good. I do like trying to buy Breece Hall. I do. You shouldn't have to go ballistic trying to get him, though. If somebody's asking for like a wide receiver 2, then don't do it. But if you can get away with, if your wide receivers are awesome and you can get away with if your top 3 wide receivers are studs and you could trade a wide receiver 4 for him, then great. Or maybe like one of your depth wide receivers and a depth running back, great. I don't think you have to break the bank to get Breece Hall. That being said, I do like trying to get him. Duck, if it's 10 teams, man, I'm still that's larger than man, they should all be rostered. Devontae Smith should be rostered. He shouldn't be on waivers. There's no way. Try to find a way to get him back. Lincoln was here. Guy is offering you Justin Jefferson. He wants T. Higgins. T. Higgins. So is it T. Higgins, your 7th round pick, and another late pick? I would probably do it. Justin Jefferson is a top dynasty, is a top 5 non-quarterback, maybe top 3, maybe top 2 dynasty asset. Non-quarterback, he's top 2 or 3. So yeah, I'm fine with that. If you want Justin Jefferson, go get him. I don't think that's too much. I do like Higgins, but I mean, you're getting one of the best players to have in Dynasty. Cubanito. What's up, Cubanito? Start Terry versus the Eagles or Brandon Ayuk versus the Broncos. I'm not crazy about Terry this week, but I think I'm starting him over Brandon Ayuk. Terry's got more target competition than he's ever had in Washington. 8 targets last week, only 4 targets week 1. He hit with like a 50-yard touchdown, and last week he 4 for 75. So like there's been some decent plays there. He's given you 12, 13, 4, maybe in PPR like 14, 15 points in this PPR. So like he's maybe giving you like 14, 15 points the past 2 weeks. But he's going against Darius Slay. It's a tough matchup. That being said, I think there's a tier break here between McLaurin and Brandon Ayuk. And Ayuk is for all the target competition that McLaurin has, George Kiddle is returning for the 49ers. So that's going to take targets away from Brandon Ayuk too. So it's not super definitive, but I think I would go Terry. I think I would go Terry over Ayuk. And the Beast, you're welcome. No problem. Thanks for coming in. Artjum, assuming Schultz is out, do I think Logan Thomas is a viable replacement, or Hurst, Jawan Johnson, Tanyan, Hooper, Brait? Logan Thomas is off to a pretty good start, right? I think I would just ride that wave. He's 62% of the snaps week 1. He went up to 73 week 2, so that's a great sign. 11 total targets. He's only caught 3 balls each of the first 2 weeks, but he did get a touchdown last week. Usage is going up. I know it's only 2 weeks, but usage went up from week 1 to week 2. You would think you can see that go up again week 3. Yeah, Logan Thomas is a fine pivot. I would play him because Hurst, I like Hayden Hurst, but he's got Jamar Chase, he's got Tyler Boyd, he's got T. Higgins ahead of him. Logan Thomas has other, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, all very good. That collection is not on Cincinnati's level as far as commanding targets. So I would go with Logan Thomas, Archum. Let's see, where are we at? Alex Contreras, start 2. DK, Robbie Anderson, Michael Carter, James Robinson, Gallup, and Henderson. Man, I don't think I want to chase points from Robbie Anderson. I do like Michael Carter against the Bengals. Gallup, I'm waiting a week on. I'm not going to play Gallup. I'm going to wait a week on him. Henderson, didn't Henderson come back to earth a little bit last week? Only 56% of the snaps, 10 carries, 47 yards. He did score. I think I would avoid Darrell Henderson. I would avoid Gallup, and I would avoid Anderson. I think against Atlanta at home, I'm playing DK, Alex. That's just a talent level tier break for me. So DK is 1, and then it's between James Robinson and Michael Carter. Of those options, I think I'm inclined to say Robinson. The game script could get away from Jacksonville, and Carter's been solid, right? Got to go back and look at his snap count. %60 of the snaps back-to-back weeks for Carter. He's got at least 5 catches in both matchups. Man, Robinson is the chalk. Robinson is the chalk here, Alex. I might go a little contrarian and I like James Robinson. I think Robinson is a fine, safe play. But if we think the Chargers are going to be winning that game at home against Jacksonville, maybe no Justin Herbert swings the pendulum a little bit here. Probably a lot of it. But if Herbert's in, I'm still operating as if he's going to lead the Chargers to a victory over Jacksonville at home, and they're going to be playing with a lead. We could see more ETN. Carter's at home against the Bengals, who are not playing well right now, and Carter's getting still getting plenty of work. I say DK, and I think my contrarian pick here, Alex, is Michael Carter. Let's keep an eye on Justin Herbert. If Justin Herbert is trending toward not playing, then Robinson probably makes a little bit more sense. But if Herbert is trending toward playing, and it's going to be a tough call because Carter plays in the early window, Robinson plays in the late window. If we don't know, then I might say Carter. I might go contrarian and say Carter. If we know either way that if Herbert's going to play, Carter. If Herbert's trending toward being out, I might go with Robinson and expect game script to be in Jacksonville's favor more often than not. So let's keep an eye on Justin Herbert's injury status tomorrow, Alex, and see which running back we prefer over DK, but I kind of like Carter. People coagulating, communicating in the chat. You love to see it. Yeah, anybody and everybody, feel free. If these are crowdsourcing questions, I'm just one person. If you guys have opinions, we're here to help each other out. At the end of the day, we want to just get wins, right? We don't want to help our league mates, but we can help each other. So appreciate the dialogue here. and there are more questions that I need to get to. So I am going to run through. Callie, should you drop Zay Jones or Noah Brown? I would probably say Noah Brown because Gallup is coming back. I would keep Zay Jones. I know he crashed back to earth last week, but I think Zay has a little bit better chance of being a more consistent full-time player this year than Noah Brown. With Gallup back, it's not as likely for Brown. Jimbo Fisher, you traded Judy for CD. You traded Judy and got CD? Yeah, I'd say that's a good trade. Hell yeah, I'd say that's a good trade. That's a great buy low for CD. And I like Judy a lot. I have been a big proponent of Judy this offseason. He is their home run hitter in that offense. Sutton is more of the he's better than a possession receiver, but he's kind of more that role. Judy has a little bit more breakaway speed, if he can stay healthy, that is. But CD is a tier above, is a talent level above. And once he gets Dak back, yeah, I'm good with that trade, Jimbo. Pittman, Sutton, Chase, and you still had Sutton anyway. And yeah, no, nicely done. Nicely done. I don't hate the buy lows on CD right now. I know it might be pulling teeth for a little bit without Dak, but I like the CD buy lows. I do. Lawrence Franklin need a flex. Pierce, Judy, Samuel, Garrett Wilson, Kamara, Lazard. Well, if Kamara's playing, it's got to be Kamara. What is Judy's? I mean, you got some good options here, Lawrence. Lawrence, do you need a flex and a wide receiver 3? Do you need 2 of these guys? Let me know. If Kamara's playing, he's got to be in your lineup. He just has to be. Okay, you need both. Kamara plays in the 1 o'clock window, so you'll know early if you're going to have him or not. What is the latest on Kamara? I know he's questionable, but is he on the limited and practiced all week? He didn't play last week. Sounds like he's closer to returning. If he's in, Lawrence, if Kamara's in, you have to play him. Pierce is not an option for me here. Honestly, Lazard is not an option for me here either, going up against the Bucs. I don't like that situation. Is this Damien Pierce? I think I still like some of these other options. Damien Pierce, among these other options, I kind of like your wide receivers. I think I would go, again, Kamara has to be in if he plays. If he doesn't, then I would play Judy, and I would play, I guess I would play Curtis Samuel. Ride the wave. It's hard to sit Garrett Wilson, but after what he did last week. But again, some of Garrett Wilson's numbers, some of the Jets' numbers were a little inflated last week. Not taking anything away from them. They executed. They did what they had to do. But, I mean, they got extra time due to a fluky situation where Nick Chubb should have kneeled down at the goal line or stopped short or fell short in an obvious spot to do that. Those types of situations, they don't unfold very frequently. So the Jets were able to and then of course they recovered the onside kick. Garrett Wilson's numbers were awesome. I don't want to take anything away from Garrett Wilson, but that end of that game was a little fluky. So I love Garrett Wilson moving forward, but I don't know if I want to chase those points just yet. What is the latest? I guess I would play him if I'm not feeling good about Judy's status for the game. I know he came back to practice on Friday after missing Wednesday and Thursday. He went down hard in that game. Judy is questionable, and they do play Sunday night. Missed 2 practices before being limited on Friday. According to Roto Baller, Judy expects to play, but the final decision will be up to the coaches. This makes him kind of shaky. If Judy can't go, then you might be Lawrence. You might be kind of pigeonholed on Sunday night into an option that you really don't want to play. I guess Lawrence, I would, because of Judy's questionable status, I would steer away, now that I'm thinking about it, with him being on Sunday night and you could be pigeonholed, I would steer away from Jeudy. And if it's either Kamara and Curtis Samuel or Kamara and Garrett Wilson. Or sorry, it's either Kamara and Curtis Samuel. If Kamara's out, it's Curtis Samuel and Garrett Wilson. Does that make sense? And actually, your scoring would help, because if it's standard, then Pierce has a little bit more of an argument. But I do like those wide receivers for you. If it's half or full PPR and Kamara's out, Samuel and Wilson. If it's half or full PPR and Kamara's in, I'll go Kamara and I'll say Curtis Samuel over Garrett Wilson. If it's standard, then maybe Kamara and Pierce. You say it's full PPR. I would go Kamara and Curtis Samuel. If Kamara's out, Samuel and Garrett Wilson. Does that make sense? Jeudy, I would normally fire up Jeudy, but with him being on Sunday night, questionable to play, could be a game time decision, could be limited. Yes, he has upside to fire, but you have viable options in the early window, and it's hard to wait on a guy like Jeudy, in this scenario. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Sober thoughts. Would I trade a 2023 first? And is that and a 2024 first? Is that a 2023 and a 2024 first, Sober thoughts? Or is that two 2023 firsts for Jalen Hurts? Regardless, if you're competing and you could use another, if you like your roster and Hurts puts you over the top, yes. Yes, I would. If you're in a rebuild, if you're not competing, if you're rebuilding, I would hang on to your picks. If you're not yeah, my team's awesome, I think I can compete this year, then yeah, do the deal. If you're I'm middle of the pack and I want to get an impact guy, Hurts might help me make the playoffs, but I don't know if I'm a championship contender, then I'm a little bit more hesitant about doing the deal. Let me know what your situation is. Sober. Let me know what your situation is as far as what's your outlook for this year and maybe the next couple of years, right? Because that's how we want to operate in Dynasty. Loaf, what's up, Loaf? Your team is Brady, Dave Montgomery, Christian McCaffrey. You got Diggs, nice. McLaurin, Shepard, Logan Thomas, Olave, Noah Brown. Any trades? All right, so Noah Brown is probably a drop. This looks like this might be a somewhat deeper league, Loaf. Is this is this 12 or 14 teams? If you can trade Terry, and actually you're getting to this at the chat right now. You're getting to this. Loaf, yes, you're on the right track. If you can trade Terry for one of those two, absolutely. Absolutely, I would do. If you can make that happen, and if you have to include Noah Brown, throw Noah Brown in as filler if you have to. His stock is probably about to go down with Gallup returning. He might not get it done, but Shepard would be fine as a throw-in too. Yes, I would try to do that, Loaf. If you can get one of those two guys for Terry, I would. If you can do it 1-for-1, great. Do it. If you have to throw in a low-end piece, I would still do it. Yes, you're on the right, Loaf. You're on the right wavelength. You're on the right path here. We are approaching the end of the chat. I am probably going to call this in the next 5 minutes at 8 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out today with your questions and the engagement. One more time, John is off tonight. Obviously, he's going to be back tomorrow for the 10 a.m. stream. We are available for anybody who is not aware. Tomorrow, more start sit help. 10 a.m. Eastern. Maybe I was kind of wishy-washy on where I stood with where you with the guys that you're between. John will be back. We can bounce more ideas off each other. You can also join our Discord. Third link in the description of this video. Evergreen invite. It is free to join for anybody. You can crowdsource start sit help in there as well. And it's just a fun community to be a part of. You can talk shop with all of the awesome people that we already have in there. So again, Discord, third link in the description, Evergreen invite. Feel free to join in. I jump in there when I can. I try to be as helpful as I can in there. We'll get questions answered for you there as well. And again, one more time, if you are not a member of this channel and maybe you are interested, there are there's information about membership levels in the first link in the description of this video and all of our recent videos. We do offer a practice squad level membership. If anybody wants 2 additional streams with us, that's Wednesday and Thursday during the season. I host on Wednesdays. John hosts on Thursdays. You get 5 streams a week with us. That's just 99 cents a month. Practice squad level membership. You don't get any additional perks. You don't get like extra access to us in the Discord, but you do get 2 extra streams a week with us. You might be able to get some like less crowds in the members channel if you have start sit help, and we can have obviously a little bit more advice geared to a smaller group of people. If anybody's interested in memberships, those details are in the first link in the description. So appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. I'm going to wrap up these questions, and then we're going to go ahead and call it for an evening. But let's make sure we wrap this up. John Hernandez Gleaton. Glad to hear that the Bateman advice worked out. Yeah, man, he caught another bomb last week. He's nice, isn't he? Another thing has popped up for you for the rest of the season. You have both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon together. Do you hold both, or do you try to flip? If you can flip one for a top-tier option, then sure, but I have no problem holding on to both of those guys, John. I love both Packers backs. They both, I think, have top 15 upside for the season. The offense needs to run through both of them. The Packers wide receiver core is just so thin. Sammy Watkins is already out with a hamstring injury week 3. I don't feel great about this matchup for them tomorrow, but you would think they catch both a ton of passes against a good Bucks front, an aggressive Bucks front 7 should catch a ton of passes. They get a brutal matchup out of the way early, so that's actually favorable. I love both Packers backs, man. If you can flip one for a guy who's got high-end upside, like a bona fide wide receiver 1 or running back 1, then yes. But I have no problem holding both. No problem holding both. And A the Beast, I missed your. Yeah, I don't think Julio's play. Julio feels tough to trust. It's gonna be slim for Tom Brady tomorrow. Let's see. I'm just reading up on. I'm just making sure I'm I'm up to speed on the side conversations that are happening in the chat, which are absolutely encouraged. Appreciate you guys. It's nice to crowdsource, right? Talk to each other, get different ideas, bounce ideas off each other. That is what we are here for. If you can get CeeDee Lamb, or if you can get Davante Adams for CeeDee Lamb, then I like buying low on CeeDee, but if you can turn CeeDee into Davante Adams, then yes, do that. Dylan McKee, Dortch or Hall? Is that Breece Hall? Dylan, is that Breece Hall? If that's Breece Hall, then play Breece Hall. I like Dortch Dortch has had a very strong start for the season. Relative to any expectations, he was completely off the radar originally. 91% of the snaps week 1. It went down to 71% week 2, so not the best trend there. 4 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown, though. So he delivered in a bit, on fewer snaps, he delivered a better fantasy day for you week 2. So that was good to see. I think I would play Breece Hall, though. He caught he's involved. I know he's not getting that workhorse workload that you were hoping from Breece Hall right away. But man, he's talented. He's good. And there's a draft capital difference. You drafted Breece, 5th round at the latest, maybe 4th round. Dortch has been a nice flyer, a nice flex so far. I would go with Breece. I would play Breece at home. Nothing scary about the matchup against the Bengals. Jets offense is playing relatively well with Flacco too. I would go Breece. Patrick, appreciate that, man. Yeah, love people coming in and hanging out. Whether you've been here with us for the past couple of years or if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. We like manifesting a positive community here where we can help each other out, talk shop, and have some fun talking fantasy, because it is a game at the end of the day. We want to have fun here. Trolls and haters will be trolled back on. I ain't afraid to do that either. But yeah, thanks for coming in. And John, yeah, I mean, that's nice to have that roster flexibility. If you have to have, if there's a good player on your bench, then there's a good player on your bench. That means moving forward, you have good options when injuries are going to pop up at some point down the line during the season. We hope it doesn't happen, but we know it's going to happen. So yeah. Archum, if you can get Brees for Ayuk and Claypool, yeah, I would do it. Yeah, I would do it. If you're trying to buy, yes, to everybody who's still in here with a couple minutes to go, I like the idea of trying to buy low on Brees Hall. If you can get Brees Hall for a couple like wide receiver 3, I do like Brandon Ayuk. I do. But Claypool's a wide receiver 5 right now. If you can get Brees Hall for that, Archum, do it. Yes, I support that. I love the idea of buying low on Brees Hall. I absolutely do. Is Kiddle going to have a low snap rate this week? Apparently, he was close to playing last week, right? I don't know how true that report was, but he's off the injury report on Friday, right? He's 2 days. If he was still on the injury report, Dylan, I'd have a little bit of concern. But we got the news update. I don't know if you have Sleeper. If anybody still doesn't have Sleeper as their app, download Sleeper. Sleeper's awesome. The best platform for playing fantasy football. One of these days they'll sponsor me, but not yet. Kiddle was removed from the injury report on Friday. Definitively good to go for Sunday night. I think he's ready. I think he's fine. I think he's okay to fire up. If he was still questionable, if he still had that questionable tag and it was like, we think he's going to go, or we're optimistic he's going to go, but blah, whatever, he's still in the injury report, I'd be a little more concerned. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So I think he's going to play like, at least 60, 65% of the snaps, I would think. And he's good enough to deliver on that number of snaps. If you have Kiddle and you don't have like a bona fide top option else, what you probably don't if you have Kiddle, I would fire up Kiddle. So yeah. John, have a good one. Dylan, you are welcome. And yeah, Archum, let me know how that goes. Emil Collier, I hope I'm saying that right, or Collier, hopefully one of those two. Michael Carter or Hendo at flex. I'm going Carter. I'm going Michael Carter. Henderson's usage decreased last week. I know he scored the touchdown, but this isn't a great matchup. Cam Akers got more work last week. Carter's back-to-back weeks of 60% of the snaps at least. And he's caught 5 balls both weeks. Carter's good. Brees Hall's good at football. Carter's good at football too. I like both Jets running backs. I would go Carter. Henderson's usage went in the wrong direction from week 1 to week 2. Carter's has held steady. I would play Carter. And Lincoln, nicely done getting Justin Jefferson. That is fun. You gave up a decent amount, but Justin Jefferson is 23 and like one of the best dynasty assets to invest in out there. I love Mike Williams, but he's already 27. Like Jefferson is 4 years younger, and maybe already the top receiver in the game. Well, Cooper Kupp might have something to say about that, but he's right there. And Jefferson's better for Dynasty. Yeah, I like it. Mata, either way, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Is Garrett Wilson a safe play at the flex? Yeah, sure. I mean, it depends on your other options. But yes, I mean, some of his numbers at the end of the game were a little fluky. That finish in the Browns-Jets game, that type of thing doesn't happen too frequently. Don't want to take anything away from Garrett Wilson. He balled out and he was wide open all game long. But he might not have had that second touchdown in 99% of scenarios in that game. Nick Chubb knows better to get down. I mean, easier. It's easier said than done. But we've seen Nick Chubb with the game on the line salt the game away by not scoring. We've seen him like bust long runs where he could have scored and he opted not to because he was able to preserve a victory. So we've seen Nick Chubb do that before. He knows better. In that situation, he just didn't. And maybe the coach should have said something to him, whatever. Chubb, in most scenarios, kneels down at the goal line, and then the game is over. And Garrett Wilson doesn't get that second touchdown opportunity that came after, I think, when they recovered an onside kick. So let's not expect a ceiling game from Garrett Wilson, but yeah, he's a fine flex option. Yeah, he's fine. But yeah, whatever your other options are would be good to note. Jay Kirchville, I think that's what I'm saying that right, hopefully. Should you trade DJ Moore for another wide receiver? I would not, because you'd be selling low on DJ. You wouldn't be getting the value that you should on a guy where you drafted him. You probably drafted DJ Moore in the third, maybe the fourth round, but either way, you drafted him high. You're not going to get the value that you hope to for DJ Moore. Like, if you were able to get like Drake London, that might then okay, fine. But you're probably not going to get that right now because London has fired and Moore hasn't. I would probably hold on DJ Moore and hope he turns it around. You need to get it. You need his stock to come up before you get equitable value for him. You'd be getting pennies on the dollar because he just hasn't done a whole lot yet. So I wouldn't be trying to trade him. I wouldn't be going out of my way. I'm hoping he has a good game and gets his stock up, and he can do that. We've seen DJ Moore perform and put up big numbers with bad quarterbacks before. It's still possible. And Archam, it's Dynasty. I'm fine with taking Breece Hall or trading for Breece Hall if you can. And Patrick, Houston 2 years ago. What's that in reference to? I'm sorry. I don't know what that's in reference to. Dylan, you want to talk Breece some more? We can absolutely talk Breece some more. How long till he becomes a better option than Patterson? Probably not. Oh, the Chubb not scoring. Okay, see, you know what I'm talking about. Got you. Yeah. So I don't want to take anything away from Garrett Wilson because he's still delivered. He's still fired, still put up a huge week. But that 99 out of 100 scenarios, those last two Jets touchdowns don't happen. They just don't. So let's keep that in mind. That was a weird ending to a game that does not happen too frequently. And every single NFL team is now on alert with it because look what happened. The Browns lost the game, right? Every single team for the rest of the season should now be on high alert in that scenario to get down, don't score, right? So we can't bank on that production every week. Still love Garrett Wilson. 100 yards and 2 touchdowns is going to be hard to replicate. As far as how long until Breece is a better option than Patterson, not long. This year, this year, Patterson's going to remain the guy in that backfield for this year. But Breece should probably get more snaps and touches before long. He's younger. He's more of a natural player of the position, right? Patterson's a converted, wide receiver kick returner playing running back. I mean, he's a hell of an athlete. He's a hell of a football player. And I'm happy for him that he found a place and a role where he is flourishing. But Breece's long-term prospects, I would say, are a little stronger. Highly touted prospect. Jets traded up in the second round to draft him. The outliers, the X factors are in Breece's favor. Right now, Patterson. For the rest of this season, maybe Patterson. For the second half of this year and beyond, Hall's looking good. Hall's looking good. And Matt, you have Kupp and Thomas starting. Godwin's out. Boyd, Garrett Wilson. Running backs are Swift, Henry, Javonte Williams, tight ends Kelsey. You're starting Swift, you're starting Henry, and you're starting Javonte. And then you're starting Kupp, you're starting Michael Thomas. Do you have to start 2 receivers or do you have to start 3 receivers? If you have to start 3 receivers, then I would start Garrett Wilson over Tyler Boyd. If you have to start 2 receivers, then obviously Kupp and Michael Thomas, and then those 3 running backs. Wilson is not a flex over those 3 running backs. Like it should be Swift, Henry, Javonte Williams if you only start 2 receivers. Okay. Then no. You're playing Swift, you're playing Henry, you're playing Javonte. Love Garrett, but for you, man, he's on your bench. He's on your bench. Garrett Wilson's got to be on your bench. I can't sit. Well, you're not sitting Cup for anybody, and I can't sit Michael Thomas. I can't do that right now. So yeah, Wilson's on your bench. And Patrick, is Connor still a game time call? Last I saw, he was, and with a guy like Connor, that makes me nervous. His injury history is extensive at this point. We know this. Barely delivered, or actually last week he didn't deliver. The ankle injuries, game time call, questionable for the game. I don't feel good about it. Connor's one of those guys where I don't feel good about it. And as far as like Darrell Williams or Eno Benjamin, they split work when Connor had to exit the game. They split the backfield work. So I'm not, I mean, if there's a guy that you prefer personally, then sure, roster that guy. But I don't feel good about Connor, and I'm not going crazy about one of his backups because they split the work last week. Wesley, you have Olave as your third receiver, so your receiver depth might be kind of thin. If you have McCaffrey and Kareem Hunt, man, it might be a 12 or 14 team league. The bench looks like it might be, or maybe like 12 teams. If Olave is your third receiver, Wesley, do you start 3 receivers? Do you have to start Olave? And if yes, like who would you have to start otherwise? If not, then maybe. If you only have to start 2 receivers, then can you get then yeah, I guess that's fine, but you're going to need some depth at receiver at some point. Maybe could you trade Kareem Hunt in the deal to get an upgrade at wide receiver from Olave? Like, could you do Olave and Hunt for Breece and like an upgrade at wide receiver? Maybe try to do something like that. So that's just a thought. Griffin Steegman, start 2. DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Allen Robinson, Curtis Samuel. I would go the last 2. I would go Robinson, who it's kind of boring, but he scored last week. He should have had 2 touchdowns. He got a second touchdown called back on a garbage penalty. And I would go Samuel. I would ride the wave. Curtis Samuel's on a heater to start the season. And at home, I think I would ride the Curtis Samuel wave. I love Garrett Wilson. Love what he did last week. I'm not chasing him replicating 100 yards and 2 touchdowns back-to-back weeks just yet. And DJ Moore just hasn't fired, and he's going to see Marshawn Lattimore this week. I would go Allen Robinson. Van Jefferson's on IR, right? It's kind of a consolidated target share in the Rams offense. It's Kupp, A-Rob, and Higbee. That's pretty much it. And Samuel's on a heater. Wilson is too after last week, but again, we have to remember that last touchdown in most scenarios does not happen. If the Browns just fall on the if Nick Chubb falls short of the goal line like he was supposed to, the game's over. Wilson doesn't get 100 yards, doesn't get that second touchdown. I love Garrett Wilson. I love his long-term prospects. I think I would, one more week, I'll go Robinson and Samuel. And Monty, you have Hopkins on IR. Nice. Nicely done. Nice little stash. But yeah, no problem. And Patrick, if you think Williams looked better and that's the guy you want to roll with, if that's like your best pivot for Connor, then sure. Then go with the guy who, thought you looked a little bit better. I'm a little leery that that's going to be like a gross split backfield of 2 uninspiring options in a bad matchup, right? They're against the Rams. That's a tough matchup. So just keep that in mind. Oh, and you can't afford to drop anybody. Yeah, you're okay. Got it. Yep. I'm glad you don't have to worry about that decision. As far as Mason, I wouldn't say he has no value. I wouldn't say he has none because Elijah Mitchell is not coming back for another month and a half, and Tyrion Davis-Price is out for a few weeks. I would say he doesn't have no value. He's on my watch list. If you have deep benches, if you have lots of IR spots and you can roster 6 guys and Mason is out there and you could use a flyer at running back, he's not a bad look at as a pickup. And Jeff Wilson has battled injuries himself as recently as last year. I wouldn't say he has no value, but we haven't seen it yet. Let's see how he does because he's going to be the number 2 running back for the first time in his career Sunday night. This is not a good matchup against Denver, but he's going to have the opportunity. Wilson's going to operate as the clear number 1 for as long as he's healthy. But let's see what type of role he might have. Does Mason get carries in the second quarter? All right, that's noteworthy. Is he getting carries in the fourth quarter and the game's like not really in hand for either team? That's not as noteworthy. He's very much a guy to, I would say he's very much a guy to keep an eye on. Very much a guy to keep an eye on because at least for the next 4 weeks, there's an opportunity in that backfield for the 49ers, as a change of pace option. And if anybody else gets hurt, i.e. Wilson, Mason's an interesting name. Very interesting name. Dylan, you're thin at wide receiver. You got Keenan Allen, who is 50-50 to play. Thielen, Lockett, Cobb, Dortch, McKenzie. Yeah, you got to play Thielen and Lockett and hope for the best. That's okay. Thielen at home, he came to life a little bit last week. It took until the end of the game, but he got on the scoreboard, right? Or, well, not literally scoring, but he caught some passes. He didn't get goose-egged like he did week 1. Thielen had some decent production week 2. It took until, it took until the end of the game, but it still happened. Thielen and Lockett, yeah, just go with those guys over your other options and hope Allen can come back soon. If he plays tomorrow, you might have to fire him up over Lockett. It could be gross. It could be like half of the snaps, but there's a tier break there. But only if Allen is at Thielen, you have to fire up. If Allen is active, then you might have to just hope for the best with him. But if not, Lockett. Do I start Lockett over Olave? I would probably play Olave. I think I would play Olave. He's been running a ton of routes, and he's commanding a pretty sizable target share. It just hasn't translated yet, but it will. I would play Olave over Lockett. And I love Tyler Lockett, but it's just a bad spot for him and Geno Smith. Slow offense, not inspiring offense. I would go Olave. And yeah, Marlon Mack could come out. Yeah, who knows with the way the 49ers use their running backs. I wouldn't bank on it at this point. I'm rooting for Marlon Mack, but he got cut from the practice squad. It took 2 injuries for the 49ers backfield for him to get a chance. I don't know. We seem to be at the end of our rope with Marlon Mack. Matta, you went to Niners training camp? Matta? I hope I'm saying that correct. Or either way. Well, you let me know if I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people said Mason looked awesome at Niners camp. That's cool that you got the chance to go. So Luis, you're back. Okay. Nyheim Hines or ETN? I mean, I got to go ETN. There's a tier level. There's a tier break there. And game script could favor the Jags throwing the ball a little bit more tomorrow if the Chargers, if Herbert plays, if it's Chase Daniel or whoever their backup is, then obviously game script could still favor James Robinson. But that's a tier break where I'm going to play the guy. I drafted ETN in the 3rd or 4th round. I didn't draft Nyheim Hines until the 10th or 11th round. I would go ETN, and the chat agrees. Dan, start Dylan, Jacoby, Thielen, or Jeff Wilson. Dylan is a tough to trust floor play, but he's a talent level over these guys. Thielen's in a good spot at home in a favorable matchup. Jeff Wilson should have the lion's share of touches out of the 49ers backfield. Jacoby is a boring floor play in an uninspiring passing offense. If it's full PPR or even half PPR, Dan, I think I would go Thielen. I love Dylan, but I think it's hard to trust him. I think I would go Thielen and then Dylan and then Wilson and then Jacoby. All of these guys are kind of like boring floor plays. Thielen would probably have a little bit more upside as the guy who has been the traditional touchdown scorer in the red zone for the Vikings over his career. So kind of boring floor plays, but Thielen offers a little bit of extra touchdown upside, and there's nothing scary about the matchup. Jeff Okudah is going to be on Justin Jefferson, so Thielen should be fine. Wesley, David Njoku played on Thursday, dude. If David Njoku's already done, you got to play Olave. Njoku already played. He had a good game too. Not that anybody we couldn't have made that call. But it's going to have to be Olave. And you should be fine there. You should be fine with him. It was weird, Patrick, that Davis Price got all the looks, but also at least, it was probably them forcing the issue. They drafted TDP in the 3rd round, right? Jordan Mason was an undrafted free agent. The coaches are stubborn, right? They were probably trying to prove a point. Not that it worked out for them. Mason's got his opportunity now. And Michael Alexander, your main tight end is Schultz, so not using him this week. You picked up Logan Thomas. That should be fine. Yeah, no, I do think that's the right call. Schultz is incredibly dicey this week. What's the latest on his injury report? He didn't play. Not that he didn't play. He got hurt. He didn't practice this week. Or limited participant late in the week. And on Monday night, it's impossible. Yeah, I would not play Dalton Schultz. So yeah, Logan Thomas is fine, Michael. Logan Thomas is fine. He's off to a pretty good start. Snaps usage went up last week from week 1, so positive development. Logan Thomas appears to be farther along in his recovery than I thought he would be. So yeah, Thomas is fine. Schultz is impossible to trust on Monday night as a game time call. So yeah, I would not. Go with Logan Thomas. And yeah, Njoku had a great game. We couldn't have called that, though. We are at the end of the chat, so I am going to be bringing this stream to a close. If you have any last-minute questions or thoughts, get them in now. If not, both of us will be back. John will be with us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. We will be taking you up as close to the slate as we need to get any questions answered for Start Sit. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can join our Discord, Evergreen invite, 3rd link in the description of this live stream. And again, one last time, if you like what you see from this channel, we have membership options available, including a practice squad level membership. You get 2 extra streams with us, with the other members, just 99 cents a month. Something you might want to consider. If you like what you see, you'll get additional streams from us, and you might get your questions answered faster. So if you are interested, but no problems. If not, we will be back tomorrow. Yeah, appreciate all the engagement. Appreciate everybody's questions and thoughts. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.